maybe you can share a little bit more of your experience with other addictions and how they relate to sugar addiction, and maybe some steps, some practical steps people can take to start getting to that next level of being addiction free.
Yeah, you and I talked about, so the message that I proffer really, that is the golden key to the golden lock, if you will. And I am recovering from alcoholism and drug addiction 35 years now. I got sober when I was 28 years old, and I thought my life was over at the time, but but I really thought it was just a big party, really. I mean, I grew up in that atmosphere and I just thought it was a big party, but then it wasn't, and it just didn't treat me well. And it took me a while to really figure it out, to understand. A lot of my friends were in the treatment industry and that kind of thing. And I helped, sponsor folks and help them get off drugs. And one of the main tenets in drug and alcohol recovery is that if you stopped using or started using drugs and alcohol when you were 14, 15, 16, or whenever, you essentially stop maturing emotionally, right? This is it's kind of well known. It's very well known in that world, but in the outside world, not so much. And because it's part of the treatment protocol and what have you. But people don't realize, and if you go to the food addiction type self-help or support groups, you'll find this exact same mantra, right? That you need to start to understand that you use these products, and this extends to sugar and flour and caffeine, that you use these products unconsciously, ubiquitous, almost free products you can get anywhere for almost no money or free at your home. And you use them to alter your state of consciousness, to alter your emotions, to quell anxiety, worry, fear, hurt, pain, right? Just think of one movie where the girl got dumped and didn't have a scene of her eating ice cream. Can you think of one, right? And this is like a common cultural thing, right? And it's like, but people don't make the connection. They don't tie two and two together. And this, I believe, is the key message for folks to understand. In the world of dieting, any diet thing you've ever seen says quit the white stuff, right? So every diet you've ever tried, everything that's worth the paper it's written on says this, right? So another component of that is that anyone who actually has success, actually 95+% of people that have success, not only gain all the weight back in the first year, but they gain more weight, right? And this is why that happens, okay? Why it happens is because anybody can muscle through 10 days, 21 days, 30 days, a detox, whatever, lose some weight, feel better about themselves. Some folks can even get 30, 60, 90 days in, right? But then, as all peer-reviewed literature says, and a CDC study on the Biggest Loser, they 90+% gain it back, right? And the reason they gain it back is because they didn't understand that they have used this product to help manage their emotions, the day-to-day ones, the worry, the stress, the fear, the anxiety, which probably matches this summit very well, and also the old stuff that they stuffed down, right? So this stuff is now starting to come up. And then they've got regular everyday stuff going on, right? And they don't have their old go-to of their sweet treats or their sugary beverages. And so they've got to find new methods to manage these emotions: yoga, walking, exercise, call a friend, get a hug, get a massage, get a mani-pedi, whatever it is that's different than reaching for the very simple process. Because look, you're not reaching for sugar. This is the part you need to make the separation. You're reaching for a dopamine hit. You're reaching for a serotonin hit. You're reaching for an oxytocin hit. You're reaching for your brain reward system to be manually manipulated by a substance, okay? And when people get that, when that light bulb goes on, and it takes time, even though you've been clean for a period of time, it takes time for that light bulb to go on. But when it does, people succeed. And I know that was a long, drawn-out explanation, but I think it's important to kind of at least plant that seed for folks, because you can journal this out. You can do that separation work when you can say, I was craving peanut M&Ms. I was craving sweet tea. And then you realize that your boss has been yelling at you for 2 days, whatever it is. You can separate the emotion from the craving.
You know, it's so true. And it's one of the often overlooked parts of any addiction. I know in my own deep explorations, I've overcome addiction after addiction after addiction after addiction. You know, really what's happened along that journey is I've been healing emotionally as a human being. You know, traumas from childhood, you know, feeling lost or not loved or feeling unwhole. And so filling those spaces within me with drugs or alcohol or sex or sugar or processed food or cigarettes. And each one of those was filling a part of me that was not whole. And as I started meditating more and as I started really deep reflecting and exercising more and practicing Qigong and studying with different, you know, traditions and healers over the years, over the last 15 years, each of those kind of emotional traumas, those holes were starting to get healed and get filled with wholeness and love, if you will. And I think that's such a critical part of overcoming any addiction, is recognizing, just as you said, you know, we're not reaching for the sugar, we're reaching for the feeling. And the feeling is to feel some sense of goodness, some sense of wholeness. And if we can find a way to heal those emotions, those deep-rooted traumas, and replace it with something that is healthier, more wholesome, more fulfilling, then those addictions can go away much easier. Is that kind of what you found in your own path?
100%. That's a very good summary of that's exactly correct. And it's, you know, people want a meal plan and an exercise program. They think that, I got a little, a great saying that I stole, but it's a great saying nonetheless. It's, they come for the sanity or vanity and they stay for the sanity, right? It's like they think they need to lose weight. They think this is or they have a health problem, right? But then they start to understand that there's something a little bit deeper that's keeping them from being successful. And you described it very well. I mean, the term, this more spiritual term, is the hole in the soul kind of thing, that emptiness, that void that you're trying to fill, that is not, it's all the things you mentioned and all the things I mentioned. And it's like, again, it's a little touchy. People think of it as touchy-feely, or they think of it as too spiritual, or they think it as too soft an issue. It's not a science-based, but now there's tons of science around. I mean, tons of science. In the last 5 years, the science of the dopamine, serotonin receptors has exploded, right? And so we know that we're manipulating our feelings. We know we're manipulating our emotions and our feel-good chemicals. And that's just not going to get you the goals that you're looking for, which is health and wellness.